AITA for telling my girlfriend not to join me on vacation because of her financial situation. She wanted me to take out a loan and pay for her trip. I refused, but that didn't stop her. I never thought I would find myself in a situation like this, but here we are. I 26 male have been dating my girlfriend 25 female for almost a year now. Things between us have been mostly great, we laugh a lot, we have similar hobbies, and we have built a pretty strong connection in a short amount of time. It is still in that sweet, exciting stage where you feel like you are really getting to know someone deeply, but at the same time, certain things are starting to come into sharper focus, and not all of them are easy. A little bit of background: I work for an international company, and a few months ago, I found out I would be attending a major work event in Las Vegas. The company is covering everything related to the event: round-trip flights, international because I am based overseas, hotel stay, food during work hours, even transportation to and from the airport. When I realized the trip would put me in the United States already, I thought it would be a great opportunity to tack on a small personal vacation afterward. I checked how many vacation days I had saved up, and after a bit of math and planning, I decided to spend about a week relaxing in Florida after the work event ended. The Florida portion, the domestic flight from Vegas, the hotel, food, everything, would come entirely out of my own pocket. It felt like a good reward to myself after a stressful year, especially because I just received my annual bonus, which would just barely cover the trip without completely draining my savings. When I told my girlfriend about the trip plans, she was super excited. She immediately said she wanted to join me in Florida. At first, it sounded like an amazing idea. Spending a week together in a sunny place, no work, just good food, beaches, and each other. It sounded perfect. But then reality started to creep in. My girlfriend is not in a good financial situation. She has been struggling with work on and off, picking up odd jobs here and there but nothing stable. She lives at home with her father and younger brother. And to be completely honest, their living conditions are rough. Their house is very run down. They do not have a working car. The bathroom barely functions. I am talking no real shower, just a handheld thing attached to a faucet. There are no curtains on the windows. Sometimes when I visit, it is clear that they are missing basic groceries. It is not just a little tight, it is genuinely hard to see sometimes because I know how much stress it causes her, even if she tries to put on a brave face. So when she said she wanted to come to Florida with me, my immediate thought was worry. She does not have the money for it. She knows that. I know that. I assumed she would try to save a little or maybe find a way to split a few costs creatively. But then she suggested something that completely threw me. She said she could ask her dad to help her pay for the trip. I did not know how to respond at first. Her dad, the same man who barely manages to keep the lights on at home, the same man who struggles to put food on the table for himself and his kids, would be the one footing the bill for a luxury vacation. It hit me like a punch to the stomach. I did not want to sound judgmental or controlling, but I could not ignore how wrong it felt. Her dad is a kind man. He has always treated me respectfully when I visited, and I know he loves his kids fiercely. But he is drowning. Financially, emotionally, in every sense of the word. He works long hours at a physically demanding job just to keep their heads above water. It would crush me to think he was selling off something valuable, maxing out a credit card, or skipping bills just so his daughter could sip cocktails with me on a beach for a week. I tried to gently bring up my concerns, but she brushed them off. She said her dad would want her to have this experience, that he would find a way. The more she insisted, the heavier the feeling in my chest grew. It was not just about the money. It was about priorities. It was about the fact that there were literal holes in the walls of their house, that they covered their windows with taped-up bedsheets, that sometimes she vented to me about skipping meals when things got bad. How could I pretend it was okay for her to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars she did not have on a vacation when her basic living conditions were so precarious? It made me start questioning other things too. How could I trust that she would be financially responsible in a future we might share? If she was willing to accept money from her struggling father for something so obviously non-essential, what would that mean later on when bigger financial decisions came into play, mortgages, emergencies, children? I do not want to make her feel like she cannot have nice things. She deserves good things. She works hard and she has been dealt a tough hand. I want to take her on trips in the future when we are both in a better place. But this particular trip feels wrong. It feels irresponsible. It feels selfish, even if it is coming from a place of excitement and hope rather than greed. I have not fully told her no yet. I have been stalling, saying things like, let's see how work goes first, or, we can talk about it closer to the date. But the date is getting closer, and I know I have to be honest with her soon. I am terrified she will take it as a sign that I do not want her there. That is not true. I would love nothing more than to walk the beaches of Florida hand in hand with her, to wake up next to her in a sunny hotel room, to make memories we would treasure forever. But not like this. Not at this cost. I know some people might say it is not my business where she gets her money. But when someone you care about is willing to dig their family deeper into hardship just to come hang out with you for a few days, it feels like you cannot just shrug and say, well, it is her problem. It is not just her problem if I am the reason it is happening. Part of me wonders if she genuinely does not see how bad things are. Maybe she has gotten so used to surviving in those conditions that spending borrowed money on a trip feels normal, even justified. Or maybe she feels desperate to hold on to good things, to grab happiness when she can. I do not know. All I know is, the idea of her asking her struggling father for money to lie on a beach for a week with me while there are no curtains in their home makes me feel sick. So here I am, stuck between a rock and a hard place, trying to figure out how to tell her, I love spending time with you, but this is not the time. You deserve better than this. Your family deserves better than this. We both deserve a future where we can go on a vacation without it feeling like we are stealing from the basic necessities of life to make it happen. I know she might be hurt. She might be angry. She might even pull away from me for a while. But I have to believe that if we are really meant to be together, she will understand why I said no, and that someday, when the time is right, we will take that trip, and neither of us will have to wonder if we made the wrong choice. I guess I am just wondering if I am being too harsh, or if I am seeing this clearly. Would love to hear outside perspectives, because honestly. Update 1. Hey everyone, thanks for all the advice and support on my original post. I figured I would come back with an update. After I posted, things between me Jake 26 male and my girlfriend Emily 25 female got even more tense. It was like the topic of Florida became this huge, looming cloud over everything. Every time we talked, even if it started casual, she would eventually steer the conversation back to it. She sent me links to hotels with little rooftop pools or quirky Airbnbs near the beach. She would text me things like, counting down the days until we're relaxing together, or send cute outfits she was planning to pack. It all had this tone of finality, like she had already decided she was going no matter what, and it was just assumed I would make it happen. The longer it went on, the heavier it sat in my chest. It was not just the trip itself anymore, it was the fact that she seemed to be completely ignoring everything I had tried to gently bring up before. It felt like she was trying to will this fantasy into existence without facing any of the real-world consequences. Eventually, I knew I could not keep dodging it. I sat her down and said as kindly but firmly as I could that I did not feel comfortable with her coming on this trip if it meant putting financial strain on her family or herself. I told her that it was not about not wanting her there, it was about wanting us both to be in a position where we could enjoy it without guilt or pressure or anyone going without basic needs back home. She got really upset. Immediately burst into tears upset. She accused me of overthinking everything and making a big deal out of nothing. She said her dad would figure it out, that I was insulting her family by acting like they were helpless. She said she needed this trip for her mental health, that it had been such a hard year and she deserved to have something good to look forward to. And for a moment, hearing her say all that, I felt like the world's biggest villain. Here was someone I cared about telling me she needed this escape, and I was standing there, arms crossed, refusing to make it happen. But then she said something that completely shifted everything for me. She suggested that if I was so worried about her dad's finances, I could take out a small personal loan to cover her costs. I just sat there blinking at her, completely stunned. It was one of those moments where time slows down a little bit because your brain is trying to catch up with what you just heard. I could not believe it. She was not joking. She was dead serious. She wanted me to go into debt to fund a vacation for her. I told her absolutely not. I said that if we could not afford a trip together comfortably, we needed to wait. That is how responsible adults handle things. You live within your means, you save for what you want, you prioritize needs over wants. I tried to say it as calmly as possible, but inside, something in me shifted permanently. It was like a curtain got pulled back and I suddenly saw our dynamic with complete clarity. She called me selfish. She said I was making her feel like a burden, like she was some charity case I did not want to help. She said if the roles were reversed, she would move mountains to make me happy. I did not know what to say to that because in my mind, moving mountains would mean encouraging your partner to be smart and responsible, not asking them to take on unnecessary debt for a week of beaches and cocktails. The conversation ended cold. We both just kind of sat there, not really looking at each other, not knowing what to say next. Eventually, she got up, said she needed some air, and left. I sat on my couch for a long time afterward, just staring at the wall, turning everything over in my mind. This was not just about a trip to Florida. This was about how differently we saw life, responsibility, money, even partnership. It made me think about the future. About the kind of life I wanted to build. I want a partner who is willing to delay gratification when needed, who can recognize that sometimes you have to make boring, mature choices instead of chasing instant happiness. I want to be able to plan for things together without feeling like I am constantly the bad guy for suggesting patience and pragmatism. The days after that conversation were weird. We texted a little, but it was all surface level. No real conversations. No mentions of Florida. I felt like we were both tiptoeing around the elephant in the room, but neither of us wanted to say the obvious: things had changed between us. I honestly did not know where things were going to land. Part of me thought she would have some time to cool off and reflect and realize I was not trying to hurt her. Another part of me worried that this might be the beginning of the end. I thought that was it, that she would realize the situation and either save up herself someday or let it go. Update 2. The very next day after our cold, unfinished conversation, Emily texted me with "good news," followed by a flood of heart emojis that practically spilled off the screen. I sat there frozen, staring at my phone, feeling this weird, gnawing sensation deep in my gut. There was a flicker of hope for a split second, some foolish part of me wanting to believe she had found a reasonable, adult way to handle things. That she had maybe picked up an extra shift, sold some unused items, decided to save up properly, or, best case scenario, finally accepted that the trip should wait. But even before I tapped to open the message, there was a heavier feeling dragging me down, this cold certainty deep in my chest that whatever she was about to tell me was not going to feel like good news to me at all. When I asked her what the good news was, she immediately replied that she now had the money to come to Florida and that everything was handled. The way she phrased it, so confident and chipper, made my heart sink even lower. Alarm bells started blaring in my head so loudly it felt like my ears were ringing. My shoulders tensed, my pulse picked up, and every nerve ending in my body seemed to spark to life with a primal, wordless warning. I asked her, trying to keep my message neutral, where she got the money from, already knowing deep down in places I did not want to admit that the answer was going to be bad. That is when she casually dropped the bombshell that shattered whatever was left of my trust in her. She said she had taken out a loan, in my name. At first, I could not even process what she was saying. It felt like reading a sentence written in a language I did not understand. I sat there blinking at the words, willing them to rearrange themselves into something less horrifying. In the back of my mind, I tried to rationalize, to convince myself that there had been some huge misunderstanding, that she had maybe co-signed for something minor in her own name, or gotten some payday advance on her own credit, or anything that did not involve using my identity without my permission. But no. When I pressed for clarification, she explained it all in this almost cheerful, dismissive tone, like she was recounting some harmless little white lie she had told to surprise me. She said she figured I was too busy, too stressed, too caught up in work and life to deal with the hassle of paperwork. She said that since we were practically a team now, her words, still burned into my memory, she decided to go ahead and do it herself, as a surprise. She said it like she had bought us concert tickets on a whim or planned a cute weekend getaway. She said it with pride, like she was expecting me to be touched by the gesture, grateful even. Somehow, over the past year we had spent together, she had quietly gathered enough personal information about me to make it happen. My full name, my home address, my date of birth, all things you share in passing when you trust someone, when you believe they would never weaponize that trust against you. She must have pieced it together slowly, bit by bit, and used it to apply for a personal loan online without my knowledge, without my consent. It was not some massive six-figure scam, sure, but it was still several thousand dollars that would have been legally tied to me, damaging my credit, my financial future, and my peace of mind. I felt like the floor had completely fallen away beneath me. My heart was racing so fast it hurt. My hands were shaking. My mouth went dry. I genuinely thought I might throw up. I could not understand how someone I trusted, someone I had been imagining a future with, could do something so reckless, so selfish, so fundamentally violating. I told her immediately, as clearly and firmly as I could through the overwhelming flood of emotion, that she had to cancel that loan immediately. That what she had done was not just irresponsible or immature, it was illegal. It was identity theft. It was fraud. It was a felony, punishable by actual prison time. I expected her to break down, to realize the enormity of what she had done, to be horrified at herself. Instead, she doubled down without a flicker of remorse. She said I was overreacting. She said I was being too sensitive and that I did not understand the bigger picture. She said she did it for us. She made it sound like she had pulled off some great, daring romantic gesture, like she had rescued us from an obstacle standing in the way of our happiness. She told me I should be happy that she'd made it happen, that now we could just go to Florida like we were supposed to, and worry about paying it back later. She said it was my loan now, my responsibility, and that I should be grateful she had taken the initiative. It was one of the most surreal, horrifying moments of my life. Standing in my kitchen, phone pressed to my ear, listening to someone I loved explain how committing a crime against me was supposed to be an act of devotion. I felt like I had stepped into some kind of twisted alternate universe where betrayal was loyalty, where theft was affection, where my boundaries, my safety, my autonomy were all just inconveniences to be brushed aside if they got in the way of what she wanted. I told her, forcing every molecule of my being to stay calm, that I was done. Completely done. I told her she needed to cancel the loan if it was not too late. That if she refused, I would have no choice but to protect myself legally. I was not issuing an empty threat. I was not bluffing. For the first time in the entire relationship, I realized with perfect clarity that my safety, my actual future, depended on getting as far away from her as I could. She rolled her eyes, dismissed me, told me I was being dramatic. I told her I was not being dramatic. I was being sane. She tried to argue, tried to spin the situation into a romantic misunderstanding between two people who loved each other. She said we could figure it out later, that there was no need to get outsiders involved. But by then, I was already gone in my mind. Already closing the door. We did not talk again that night. I sat alone in my apartment, surrounded by the small, familiar things that used to make me feel safe, the books on my shelf, the photos on my walls, the soft glow of my desk lamp, all of them now feeling strangely alien, as if even my own space had been tainted by what had happened. I sat in the silence, hearing nothing but the low hum of the refrigerator and the distant sounds of traffic outside, and I replayed everything over and over in my mind. The casual way she had said it. The pride in her voice. The utter lack of understanding about how serious it was. I thought about every conversation we had ever had about money, about goals, about trust and partnership. I thought about the small warning signs I had ignored, the little moments that had felt off but I had brushed aside because love is supposed to be about patience, about giving the benefit of the doubt. I realized how many little compromises I had made without even noticing. How many quiet warnings I had silenced inside myself because I wanted so badly to believe in us. I knew I could not waste time. I needed to act. I needed to protect myself. I needed to contact the loan company immediately and find out exactly what had been done in my name. I needed to check my credit, freeze my accounts, change every password I could think of, file fraud alerts, prepare to file a police report if necessary. I needed to start cleaning up the damage before it spread any further, before the roots of what she had done sank deeper into my life. I barely slept, trying to figure out what steps I needed to take to protect myself. Update 3. The next day, I woke up to another text from her. It was early, earlier than she usually texted, and for a moment my stomach twisted into knots again thinking about what new chaos I was about to wake up to. When I opened the message, it said she had thought about everything and decided to fix it. She told me she had gone back to the lender, explained the situation, and, somehow, miraculously, had been able to cancel the loan before the money was officially disbursed onto my credit report. She framed it like it was this grand romantic gesture, like she had slayed some dragon to win me back. Her exact words were, "See, I told you we could get through anything together," followed by an endless stream of heart emojis and little sparkle gifs. But honestly, Reading that message, I just felt hollow. There was no wave of gratitude. No warm rush of forgiveness. There was relief, sure. Relief that I would not have to spend the next several years cleaning up a financial disaster. Relief that I would not have to file police reports or hire a lawyer. Relief that my credit, my future, my sense of safety were still intact. But underneath that relief, there was this yawning pit of sadness. Because fixing the loan did not fix what had been broken. It did not erase the fact that she had thought it was okay to cross that line in the first place. It did not undo the violation of my trust, the casual way she had taken pieces of my personal information, the entitlement she felt over my future. It did not change the way she had twisted it into something she thought I should be thankful for, as if love meant erasing boundaries instead of respecting them. It scared me, honestly. How easily she had justified it to herself. How quickly she had decided that laws, ethics, and my very clear discomfort were all flexible if she wanted something badly enough. It made me wonder how many other lines she would cross in the future, how many other decisions would be made without me, for me, but against my will, under the excuse of love. Our communication has improved, technically speaking. We are civil. We talk about surface-level things. There are no screaming matches, no dramatic ultimatums flying back and forth. On the outside, it looks like peace. But underneath it all, something fundamental has shifted. There is a space between us now, wide and heavy, filled with all the things we are not saying. Filled with all the things I cannot forget. And for now, I am still going to Florida. Alone. Strangely enough, I agree with that decision more than anything else right now. It feels right. It feels necessary. I need to be away from the noise, away from the pressure, away from the sick feeling that has been living in my chest for the past few weeks. I need to sit on the beach, breathe in the salt air, stare at the endless blue of the ocean, and just be grateful. Grateful that I figured it all out before it got worse. Grateful that I caught it now, before bigger things were entangled. Grateful that no money was lost, no loans stuck to my name, no permanent scars carved into my credit. I am relieved that she did not spend any of her money or mine. But more than anything, I am relieved that I finally saw the full picture for what it was, and that I still have the chance to walk away while the door is open.